Welcome back, Troglodytes, to another episode of the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we have a 57 reissue from 2009. Now this 57 reissue is a dark back. What exactly does dark back mean? Well, it just means the back of the guitar is a darker color than usual. Back in the 50s, there were a few Goldtops that were done in a dark back like this. There were some in 56, but you mainly see them in 1957 and 1958. They're easy to identify because, well, they have a dark back. Now this isn't black, it's more of like a very dark brown color. Now on this reissue, it's kind of cherry looking almost, but it's definitely not completely black. It's still transparent and you can see the wood grain underneath. They're also easy to identify because instead of a black serial number stamp, they get more of a yellow ink. Because if they use black, it'd be really hard to see it. Now on the 50s ones, the dark backs actually got Les Paul custom backplates that were also black. So Gibson putting brown ones on these dark back reissues is kind of incorrect, but these things aren't 100% accurate anyways. Another little fun fact about vintage Goldtops is sometimes you can find ones with black plastic stock from the factory. I did a little bit of research and it appears that serial numbers that start with 713 all the way through 732 will typically have the black plastics. And any of them that have black plastics should be a dark back. So this guitar is a reissue of one of the original dark backs. Obviously it's not 100% accurate, and if you wanted to have like black plastics on this one, you could swap them out. But as it sits now, you have cream on the front and the incorrect brown back plates. Now one thing I do want to go over here is I'm curious what the viewers think. Is this real or fake aging on this guitar? The pickup covers are nickel, but they kind of have like a green vibe to them. Now I could see this happening from being played for a really long time, and judging by the condition of this guitar, it definitely was played. However, while I was cleaning the pickup covers on this guitar, you can see the green residue that came off of this thing. So I'm really having a hard time deciding if somebody painted those with some type of chemical to make them look like this, or if that is just natural aging. Another thing to know about these 57 reissues is these are not guitars for people with tiny hands that don't like big necks. 57 reissue is pretty much the largest neck you can humanly buy without custom ordering something crazy. These are the guitars where you call them baseball bat necks. These are very, very large necks. Now, some people find these really comfortable, and some people absolutely hate them. I think you do feel a lot more vibrations in the guitar while you are playing it, so there is a little bit of a different, resonant feel when you're playing one of these that is a little bit more comfortable to me. However, some people can get fatigued by having such a large neck, but it also goes the other way. Some people are fatigued by the tiny neck with cramped hands. It really does depend on what you prefer. So if you don't like fat necks, I do not suggest checking out an R7. However, if you're looking for a guitar to shave the neck down to your perfect neck profile, this could be a good starting point. If you're familiar with the story I shared a few months ago about the R7 that got lost in transit with UPS, this is basically a similar guitar that I replaced that guitar with. When I had purchased him a dark back to make up for all the lost time that he had to wait to get his guitar, I really wanted a dark back myself. So when I saw this one come up, it's like, you know what, let's go ahead and get this one. Let's review a dark back reissue. So this guitar is from 2009. You have your long neck tenon, which is correct. You have the historic spec plastics on here. You can see that they are a lot thicker and taller standing. You have your correct ABR1 bridge, not the Nashville style, and you have a lightweight tailpiece. Another historical thing here is you have what they call thumb bleeders, because sometimes if you prick your thumb on them, you'll start to bleed. Another kind of historically accurate thing is the truss rod cover placement is a little bit higher than you would normally see. Your headstock is also more of a 50s styled shape. So let's talk about historic reissues here for a minute here, because some people are always curious of my thoughts of modern day historics. I think modern day historics are awesome player guitars. They have a very cool vibe that's 50s spec'd for the most part. These really do play and feel a little bit different than the USA line of guitars. Do I suggest buying these as long-term investments? No, not really, unless it's a very limited and desirable run of like the Collector's Choice series. Other than that, if you're gonna buy one of these, buy it to play because they really are fantastic guitars. They have everything you would want on a Les Paul. Maple top with ABR1 bridge, and then you have your mahogany back and mahogany neck. And you also have your rosewood fretboard. So these are pretty much as close to you can really get to like a 50s Les Paul in the under 3K range. Now, if you don't care about 50 spec'd stuff, the Gibson USA line of guitars is also very excellent. It really just depends on what comes to mind when you think Les Paul. For some people, it's 50 spec'd. For other people like me, it's like 70s and 80s era weird stuff that most people don't even care about. There's really nothing wrong with any guitar. It really is all in your head. This guitar still does retain its original pickups, which are Burstbucker 1 and 2. So overall, yes, I would suggest checking out a 57 reissue if you like big necks and you have a thing for some 50 specs. This guitar weighs 9 pounds 5.9 ounces, and again, it has a really huge baseball bat neck. Let's talk about the condition of this guitar and originality. For the most part, it's in good shape with light wear, with very few minor replaced parts. Alright, we'll take a look at the face of the headstock here. You can see there's kind of a deeper scratch up here in the corner, but other than that, the rest of the scratches are fairly minor, but there are a few present. This is definitely not a mint condition one. You don't have to be scared to play this guitar. You also have some very light edge wear, especially towards the top of the headstock. The truss rod works just fine, and the nut appears to be original. The beautiful rosewood fretboard, there's some very minor impressions into the board, but not very much. This is the type where most sellers probably wouldn't even disclose it. I mean, it's not the big fingernail gouges or anything. But the frets are in very good shape. They just have very minor play wear up and down the neck. Nothing that you'll have to worry about for a while. Now the face of the guitar is also in pretty good shape. This guitar came to me without a pick guard. This is not a historic pick guard. This one actually came from this 2017 Gibson Les Paul Standard. Since it wasn't installed at the factory, I didn't include it with that guitar, so I threw it in my parts drawer, and hey, it came in handy today. Something else that's been replaced is the output jack plate. These came with plastic, and the reason why nowadays they like to use metal is because those plastic ones break, and obviously that happened here. And I'm not quite sure what this is that they put on here. It feels kind of like a thick plastic of some sort that's blue, but hey, it does the job. Besides those two small things, the guitar is original though. We'll take a look at this one. You've got some very light dings on the top, as well as some light scratches. I mean, this really is a player's guitar. If you're a collector, you don't want this guitar. You can see there's a ding right there where it rests against your arm. However, if you're collecting 2009 R7s, I would have a few questions for you anyways. But you got a beautiful belly on this one. Nice top carve right here. Now, something that is visible on this one is the line of the two-piece top. That's fairly common to see on these. It's not visible at all angles, but when you get the light just right, you can see it, even in between the pickups there. But other than that, just a few light nicks and dings on the top. Nothing that really takes away from the overall vibe of the guitar. I know personally, if there's a large ding on the top, that's a huge turn-off for me, but I can live with these small little ones. Back of the headstock, serial number 791478. You've got quite a bit of wear on the back of this guitar. I definitely want to make sure I point out the finish wear at the top of the headstock there. It looks like it got laid against something, a light ding, but thankfully no breaks, cracks, or repairs. So if you can live with some light edge wear, this example's not too bad, but you also don't have to worry about dinging it up yourself. Again, no breaks, cracks, or repairs, but you can see there's quite a few small little impressions on the neck as we get the light going over it here. I'm guessing those are from a capo or maybe a ring. They're fairly minor though, but they are present. So if you don't like little impressions on your neck, definitely pass on this example. I would say this is the worst one because it's kind of a long line impression. But for the most part, from far away, you really don't see those. And honestly, you really don't feel them either. The back of the guitar is in pretty good shape. You can see you've got some very minor buckle worming. I'm personally a big fan of dark backs. I like being able to see the wood grain underneath while having a somewhat more special finish than just natural mahogany. But I kind of have a soft spot for both of them, but I think the dark backs look really cool in photos. But as you can see, you've got lots of scratches, buckle worming, but nothing too extreme. And you also have lots of fingerprints from me handling it. Now you do have the thin binding in the cutaway, however it's kind of hard to see the maple top exposed due to the dark finish. But you do have some light wear and tear along the sides as well. And again, the output jack has been replaced with who knows what that is. You've got some impression lines right here, but overall, again, in great shape. Now we'll do a blacklight test just to make sure the finish is original. Now, being a fairly modern guitar, it's not even 10 years old yet, it's not going to glow a lot, but this is what the finish should look like. Now, something that's kind of interesting to note here is you see how this has this nice even glow, but right here it glows more? That's because somebody's been gigging this thing, and this is sat under their arm, or their arm has been setting on it like this, and their arm has been sweaty, so that actually kind of absorbs into the finish a little bit and makes it glow this different color. So that is definitely normal to see on a gigged guitar. And as the lacquer ages more and more, this will become less and less apparent under blacklight. Back of the headstock, we can see there's been no breaks, cracks, or repairs, but you can see here where some of the clear coat has been worn away, likely by sitting on a stand or by a player's hands. But there are no crack repairs or anything like that on this one. Under blacklight here, you can see some of the clear coat has been slightly worn off. I'll tell you, you definitely do not feel any difference in those areas. Sometimes you do, but that just means there's some very light wear to the outer clear coat's finish. But overall, still very respectable in condition. Back of the guitar is also glowing the way it should. It looks like you got a little bit of wear to the finish there as well. But as I said earlier, this is not a mint condition example. Here you can see where it's also rubbed against something. This is definitely one for someone that just wants to play it. This guitar does come with its original Gibson custom shop case. As you can see, it's been on the road a little bit. You've got some scratches and stains, but for the most part, besides a few smudges, it's in good shape and still protects your guitar very well. And the interior is this beautiful burgundy color. Now unfortunately, the lid ribbon has come unattached, and you can see the hinge ribbon is starting to tear, so this case no longer holds its lid up, but it still does function as a case. But these burgundy interior custom shop cases really are nice. They've got really nice padding that really keeps your guitar where it should be. They've got decent heel support and a double neck rest, as well as a case compartment here. If you think you might be interested in being the next owner of this Darkback R7, feel free to contact me on my Facebook page, facebook.com/Troglys, Troglys. Thank you, Troglydites, for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.